This way I can walk. I grew up in a Christian home also. And for some reason, I never knew why, but whenever we had missionaries or guest speakers or something in church, the guests would always stay at our house. And some of you did get to meet my parents. My dad has been gone for 20 years. My mom has been gone for 10. And I was always fascinated by those missionaries. And when I started coming here, we had the affiliation with American Baptist and missionaries. We had different missionaries come here and speak. And it's always been a fascination of mine. Well, about 4.5 years ago, after our women's conference, at that summer, we usually have a newsletter. Well, the newsletter came out. I read the whole thing. And, okay, yep, that's what we did. And then in September, we got an email from Chris Mazahari, who was our White Cross representative for American Baptist women, asking for people to volunteer to go to the Philippines. They were doing a discovery trip to the Philippines. And it was like, I didn't see that in the newsletter. Where was that in the newsletter? I didn't see it. And so I went back, and there it was. So I volunteered to go to the Philippines. And while we were there, we had several God moments. But the one that I really, really loved is my Tootsie Roll story. And so a couple of weeks ago, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for my mission moment, I go, the Tootsie Roll story. And I was like, how many people have not heard the Tootsie Roll story? Yep, there's a lot of you guys. So it was like, I texted Mike. I said, I've got something. Call me when you come into the office. So he called me. He goes, you wanted to talk? I said, yeah. I said, I need to share the Tootsie Roll story. So while we were on the island of Panay, which has been hit really recently with earthquakes and typhoons, we stayed by Iloilo, which is a city at this part of the island, and then Capiz Emmanuel Hospital is here, and then Antique Christian Center is over here. And so we went to the Antique Christian Center. They were celebrating their 40th anniversary. And it was just fascinating watching all the kids because every group had a dance. And then we went to an outreach center that they had. And there was this tons of kids, a bunch of kids skipped school because they wanted to see the Americans, because an American group had not been there. This was the first discovery trip that International Ministries had sponsored to the Philippines ever. And this was 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago this week. And so as we were there, they sang some songs, we shared some stories, and then Gail and I passed out saltwater toffees to the kids. And as we were doing that, Twyla is handing out Tootsie Rolls. So Gail and I finished with the saltwater toffee, and she said, Kate, can you help me hand out Tootsie Rolls? And she'd been passing out Tootsie Rolls all the time we were handing out saltwater toffee. And so I start helping her. I reach into the bag and start passing it out. I reach into the bag again. And it feels like there's the same amount of Tootsie Rolls in the bag. And we hand out Tootsie Rolls. And we start looking at each other. Nobody is saying a word, but we just start looking at each other. And there's Tootsie Rolls. And we pass out Tootsie Rolls. The bag never empties. We get into the van. We say goodbye to the kids. And we get into the van, and we all start talking at once. Did you see that? God worked. It was the story of the fish and the bread. We had Tootsie Rolls left over. And that was our God moment. And when I came back and I shared the story, Pastor Tom asked, he's told me one time, he said, I bought like 5 bags of Tootsie Rolls, and they all emptied. And I looked at him, and this was the Holy Spirit talking. This was not me. And I go, all you needed was 1 bag and faith.